Good day, my friends. We're at chapter 21, verse 3 of the book of 1 Kings. And Naboth said to Ahab, The Lord forbid it me that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto you. Notes, as Naboth's vineyard was given unto him by the Lord of glory, likewise our vineyard of salvation is given to us by the Lord of glory. Actually, the law of Moses forbade the sale of ancestral rights except in extreme destitution. Even then, the property would always return to the original owners in the year of Jubilee. You can read that in Leviticus 25, verse 23 through 25, and even in Numbers chapter 36, verse 7. So even if you sold it or gave it away, it would eventually return back to your lineage, if you prefer to say it that way. Verse 4. And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him. For he had said, I will not give you the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread. Notes. He's pouting, sucking his thumb, and whining. Verse 5. But Jezebel his wife came to him and said unto him, Why is your spirit so sad that you eat no bread? And he said unto her, Because I spoke unto Naboth the Jezreelite, and said unto him, Give me your vineyard for money, or else, if it please you, I will give you another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give you my vineyard. And Jezebel his wife said unto him, Do you now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let your heart be merry. I will give you the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. Notes. In other words, she's saying, I'm going to give it to you. You don't need to buy it. She's plotting against him right now. Verse 8. And she wrote letters in Ahab's name, and sealed them with his seal, and sent the letters unto the elders and to the nobles who were in his city, dwelling with Naboth. And she wrote in the letters, saying, Proclaim a fast, and set Naboth on high among the people. Notes. In other words, put him in a place of honor. We're going to throw a little parade for him, if you will. Verse 10. And set 2 men, sons of Belial, which are worthless men, before him, to bear witness against him, saying, You did blaspheme God and the king, and then carry him out and stone him, that he may die. Notes. They first pretended to honor him and to uplift him, and now they claim to have found this great fault in him, so he must be stoned to death. In other words, they're putting on a really, really good show and honoring him and blowing kisses at him, and these 2 knuckleheads come over there and they accuse him in front of all these people. The law of 2 witnesses, okay? And, well, they're going to just stone him. Very, very sad thing. Verse 11. And the men of his city, even the elders and the nobles who were the inhabitants in his city, did as Jezebel had sent unto them, and as it was written in the letters which she had sent unto them. They proclaimed a fast, and set Naboth on high among the people. And there came in 2 men, children of Belial, and sat before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him, even against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth did blaspheme God and the king. Then they carried him forth out of the city, and stoned him with stones, that he died. Notes. Protracted murder right here from the very beginning. Well, maybe protracted isn't the proper word. I'm working on my vocabulary, but it was all plotted out. I mean, a mafia whack job right here. Verse 14. Then they sent to Jezebel, saying, Naboth is stoned and is dead. And it came to pass, when Jezebel heard that Naboth was stoned, that he was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, Arise and take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give you for money. For Naboth is not alive, but dead. And it came to pass, when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, that Ahab rose up to go down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, to take possession of it. Notes. This happened about a day after the murder. Poor thing. Verse 17. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Arise, go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, which is in Samaria. Behold, he is in the vineyard of Naboth, where he is gone down to possess it. And you shall speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Have you killed and also taken possession? And you shall speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, in the place where dogs lick the blood of Naboth, they shall lick your blood, even yours. Notes. Take a look at Matthew chapter 7, verse 2. With what measure you mete, it shall be measured unto you again. And here we have a good example of it. Whenever it's all said and done and the smoke is cleared, God is going to even the score. And in this case, he chooses to do it now. Verse 20. And Ahab said to Elijah, Have you found me, O my enemy? And he answered, I have found you, because you have sold yourself to work evil in the sight of the Lord. Notes. Now this chapter actually opens with Ahab refusing to listen to God's loving voice, which is spoken to him so plainly, and the remarkable victory given to him over the Syrians, but willingly listening to Jezebel's cruel voice, prompting him to commit perhaps the blackest of his crimes. Verse 21, Behold, I will bring evil upon you, and will take away your posterity, and will cut off from Ahab him who urinates against the wall, and him who is shut up and left in Israel, and will make your house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah, for the provocation wherewith you have provoked me to anger, and made Israel to sin. Notes. Ahab and Israel, they weren't a very good couple. Ahab and his wife seem to have just led Israel into deeper and deeper and deeper sin, and God's saying, I'm throwing on my gloves on, and we're going to take care of some business. Verse 23, And of Jezebel also spoke the Lord, saying, The dogs shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. Notes. This is retribution, and it should overtake her near the scene of her last crime. You can see that in 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 36. And, well, by doing it this way, the just judgment of God would actually be made a bit more conspicuous. Verse 24, Him who dies of Ahab in the city the dogs shall eat, and him who dies in the field shall the fowls of the air eat. But there was none like unto Ahab, which did sell himself to work wickedness in the sight of the Lord, whom Jezebel his wife stirred up. Notes. While Ahab wasn't the most wicked king of Israel, he was, at this particular time, he was the worst one so far. And in fact, this program of ever-increasing wickedness continued until the whole nation had to be destroyed, basically. We'll have a few more righteous kings, and at least one of them who wisens up, that being King Manasseh. But this particular theme is going to continue until the nation just basically falls apart. Verse 26, And he did very abominably in following idols, according to all the things as did the Amorites, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. Verse 27, there's going to be a little bit of a bright note right here. And it came to pass, when Ahab heard those words, that he rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his flesh, and fasted, and lay in sackcloth, and went softly. Notes, now it does actually seem that this man's repentance was sincere, at least for a time. God would not have spoken to a half-hearted repentance, and thus I believe it to actually have been true, but unfortunately it would not last. Verse 28, And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Do you see now how Ahab humbles himself before me? Because he humbles himself before me, I will not bring the evil in his days, but in his son's days will I bring the evil upon his house. Notes, now, people get this wrong all the time. There is no threat of punishment against the innocent instead of the guilty, as it might actually first appear. Well, in the first place, God knew well what his son would be, and in the second place, if the son had departed from his father's sins, he would have been spared as well. Look at Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 14. You see, judgment was deferred to give the house of Ahab another chance. Well, regrettably, it all boiled down to no avail. Now we must pick up in chapter 22 of the book of 1 Kings. Thank you, and God bless.